my viewpoint about AI. Tools are tools are tools. They're just tools. And it depends on like how well you use them. This is not difficult. It doesn't really matter if you continue to use them or not, but at least you can try it first. And if you found that, okay, I'm actually spend, way more time in using these new tools and that's making me less efficient than using my old method, then it's totally fine to switch back to your old method. That's okay too. But at least you need to, initially spend the time and efforts to know these new tools and to see if that will actually be a life changer for you.
Welcome, my digital pathology trailblazers, and welcome back, Candice. It's so great to have you again at the show. How are you today?
I'm doing good, and happy to be back.
So last time we talked, you just landed back at Texas A&M, and we were talking about your paper about ChatGPT in veterinary pathology, and we spent the whole episode on it. And recently, I've read another paper of yours that caught my attention, and it's AI Literacy Curriculum Framework. And we're going to be talking about that too. But before we dive into any of the papers, for those who did not listen to our previous episode, tell the trailblazers, who are you? A little bit about your background, and then we're going to dive in.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Candice Chu. I'm an assistant professor at Texas A&M University. I'm a veterinarian from Taiwan, and currently my research is focused on the application of AI in veterinary medicine.
So we have a little bit of a history together. So we met, I think the first time we met when where I work at Charles River Laboratories, and we worked on some projects, digital pathology projects, image analysis projects together. Candice is a clinical pathologist. I'm an anatomic pathologist, both veterinary pathologist. And then I was following your work online, and you didn't decide to work together at Charles River Laboratories. And after your first job, you made a deliberate move back to where you trained, which is Texas A&M. And I wanted to unpack this choice. Why did you decide to go back? And last time we talked, I think you just joined. Now we are, 2 years into you having your own lab and teaching some cutting edge AI to veterinary trainees. Let's talk about that.
Yes, I think the biggest change for me to going back to Texas A&M is the different role. Previously, when I was at UPenn, the position I had is assistant professor in the CE track. So I have limited capacity in doing research. And because of this is not part of their job description, so they also did not offer much research support, just because this is not a research position. And I found that going back to Texas A&M University with a tenure track position, I was giving my own laboratory space. I was giving a substantial amount of startup funding where I can build my research lab and hire PhD students. And that really helps me to boost these research in the AI space.
This is amazing. I see on LinkedIn every now and then that you're hiring for your own lab. And it sounds like it's just heartwarming because you have a history with educating. Even before you became a professor, you have this pretty successful online, mostly Instagram, but now you're on other platforms as well, educational platform about clinical pathology. Now it's shifted to what you're doing at Texas A&M. So you were already doing that before. And now you're writing curricula for veterinary students and basically designing what they should learn about AI. But you had to learn this first yourself. This is, everybody who's talking about this online just learned it recently. Can you walk us through your own AI adoption from the beginning? Like, how did you even get interested in digital pathology? Maybe even before we met for the digital pathology projects at Charles River.
Yeah, I think that parts of it is related to my childhood. So as a kid, my mom, of course, asked me, like, do you want to join like dance class? Do you want to do any extracurricular activity? and I say no to those, and I end up being joining the
You didn't want to dance?
yeah, not as a kid. I probably would like to dance right now, but not in the past.
Hmm.
But then I actually signed myself up for computer class.
Okay. How old were you?
I think yeah, I was like 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah,
That means I need to push my kid. He's going to turn 8 in December. I don't think he shows too much interest. And I
yeah,
don't think you can push them into that direction if they don't want to do that.
yeah.
But yeah, so you were already interested in that at 8. Congratulations.
Yes, I play a lot of computer and video games at home, and my parents never restrict me of doing that. So I just play like, as much as I want. And when I play too much, and I realize, okay, I probably should study a little bit, and I will go back to study. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, I see that you have a high level of self motivation. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking here, and you wouldn't be like publishing the papers like very frequently. I want to tie it back to your online educational activity because I don't know, you have like over 20,000 followers on Instagram, and you're pretty strong on other platforms. And that's something we share in common because I put a lot of stuff, mostly digital pathology, AI for pathology, for pathologists. Doesn't really matter if MD pathologist or veterinary pathologist. So that's like one path of educating. And it's useful, right? But working inside of an institution, and it's a different level of involvement, um, level of influencing change, also overcoming change resistance, but also I see it as a way of delivering maybe more and more structured impact. And I remember this one collaboration, and it was like an asynchronous collaboration. I don't know which organization was doing that, maybe ACVP or American College of Veterinary Pathologists, when they were discussing like how to teach AI to people. And I was like, you know what, here's the book, take what's I wrote this book, Digital Pathology 101. Take out of the book what you need, what you don't need, don't take, and good luck with that. So I don't know if I'm very proud of my attitude in that collaboration, but I was like, I already wrote this book, it's out there, like take it and do whatever you want with it. And doing what you're doing in an institution, that's why I invited you. I want you like to tell us what's the difference between putting stuff out there online and you having the immediate gratification of people liking it and learning from it, and building your own structured thing at an institution where you need to convince people who maybe don't ask to be convinced, right? Their algorithm is not suggesting them, oh, new course for veterinarians that is related to AI. So yeah, tell me about that. Let's unpack the institutional work that you're doing and the online education work that is related to this.
Our college is actually very supportive of having this AI course, and I think it's because it started, as just one credit elective course on Friday afternoon at 3, basically their last course through the week. So it's
So
very
whoever takes it is very motivated already.
yes, yes, and then it's very low stake. There's no. We were told that there's no final exam for the
Okay.
elective courses. So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically just like in a very relaxed environment to have the students to learn. So I think it is a very good start to make it, as easily accessible as low stress possible. And then the reason why I want to make it into a formal course is I am seeing in my research prior to having this course is other veterinary schools are having AI courses already. Who's Wisconsin Medicine, Kansas State University, Auburn University also have one. And I feel like at that time I was developing this course, I don't see anybody else in the college has like so strong, such a strong interest in AI more than I am. So I feel like, okay, I will be the one who do this. And I wanted to make it formal and make it more comprehensive and also make sure it is accessible to other people. So actually, when I'm teaching this course also involves research as well. Students sign research consent to participate in the research, and then we will publish the result as well. So it is not just purely education, but it's a combined effort with the research, educational research, and AI research and AI literacy education. So I try to make it as impactful as possible.
I love it. To trying to increase or like maximize the leverage for research and publication. And you did the publication, so you already have some. No, the publication is on what this course entails, right? Are there any other publications? Because you mentioned that other universities have courses. Did they publish on that?
Not to my best knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And we can do some Google on that, but when I was preparing for the episode, I didn't see anything either. Do we have guidelines from any organization for how to approach this at the moment?
What we're trying to do at the ACVP right now is, a while ago we launched this on-site and also online AI survey. And those survey, we also asked our membership whether what are they expecting to see that we can do as an organization. So part of the result will also be shared at the ACVP meeting this year. There's going to be discussion forum followed by the review of the survey result. And we are working on publishing that survey result so that hopefully we can show people what we have learned on the AI survey and also what else can we do as an organization to push this field forward for our membership.
Mm-hmm. So I see like the fastest way of sharing is going to be online, which you do anyway. Then you have your institution that is very supportive and you have your own lab and you manage to create this course and then publishing and doing research on that. And then there are other organizations, like what do you call ACVP? Just a professional organization, right? That are kind of like watching what's happening. It has to happen in the public peer-reviewed domain. So what is your impression on the pace of doing that? So I feel you're very fast, both to share like privately, and by privately, even though it's public, I consider it like the social media way of sharing, where it's just you broadcasting something to the world and whoever is interested is going to learn immediately before the peer review process happens. Then you publish a lot, and then you are also involved in these organizations. Like, tell me about your perception of the impact of each of these ways. And you have this unique perspective of being involved in all these ways. So if you are open to that, like, tell me what's working well where and what's not working and you wish would change.
I think, to be honest, we have to realize that veterinary medicine is relatively slow in embracing AI. And to me, specifically, I also feel veterinary pathology is especially slower than other specialties in embracing AI compared to radiology. Sometimes I even feel comparing to more, clinical specialties, we are slower because those clinicians has been using, AI scribe to record a conversation between them and their clients. And for me, I'm doing everything I can to try to push this forward, but I also understand their real concern is at this point, they're still not seeing how AI, most people still not seeing like how AI can improve their work. Like, is AI actually better than pathologists? There's few publication really talking about that. And then for most people, they don't use AI in their actual pathology work, either cytology or pathology. And they may have been using AI, to edit their emails or do some editing. But I still hear people talking about, okay, I actually feel like I spend more time verifying AI's output. So I'd rather just do it myself without using AI. Or in the year 2026, there are still people talking about, AI is making fabricated references. But actually, if you know how to use this tool well, in the correct way, this should have been a question, back in 2023, not in 2020 anymore. So I think there's still a long way to go. And what I can do is to show people how we can utilize AI in different perspectives. So I show them, how we can use large language model in research by doing my current research, how to use, computer vision tools to do cytology analysis. And that's also what I'm currently doing right now. And also you can use large language model to extract information from the clinical medical record. And that's my current involvement with the dog aging project. We're trying to help the researchers to extract those information from the medical record. And also for research, teaching the younger generation of how to use these tools, how to be aware of these tools, and how to evaluate them. And I think those are, me doing my best trying to tackle this problem from all different angles.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk in a second what this curriculum is, because it goes pretty deep, like you say. And I love last time we talked, you said this sentence that like now with these tools, not using them to advance knowledge, and I should know like the exact quote, but you basically said that it's irresponsible to not advance as fast as we can. Like I don't remember exactly what you said. I'm going to look it up. But you said something like, okay, you can still like walk somewhere, but if you want to get there fast, you're going to use a car, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same analogy. If you want to advance your research, and if it's important to your like your work or whatever impact, these are the tools that we have. And now we're supposed to use them. Why is it important to you? Like, is it just a fun thing for you to do? Which probably it is, but there's a lot of effort on all fronts to push it forward. So there is like a deeper meaning of that for you. Tell me about that.
I think that relates to two of my characteristics. One, I think I'm tech savvy, so I'm enjoying using technology. And second, I'm a very lazy person. So if there's anything
that doesn't look like that.
No, if there's anything I can automate, I would definitely automate that. I will not doing it manually. So when the AI tool came out, I feel like, oh my God, that's the perfect solution for me. So I've been using those tools to build a lot of, very supportive component of my life. So for example, I now have this paper pipeline. So I use the RSS that I created based on certain keywords, and I will have the AI algorithm to scan the RSS, and they will push the new article to my Slack app. And on the app, I can press yes or no to decide whether to keep those paper or not. And for those paper who are kept, the AI algorithm will also run through the paper and then write me a summary, and then also automatically put it to the category on Notion notebook. So then if I have limited time, then I can just read the summary, and those summaries are in the layout that I designed for it. And I do the same thing for veterinary clinical pathology. So for those what's your diagnosis paper, they usually comes with, limited information and a big cytology picture, and then follow up with additional tests and the final diagnosis. So that I use AI to create a tool to extract those cytology images and then match with the final diagnosis and made them into the cytology atlas that I have on my Notion page. So whenever I have question about, a couple of days ago, I read a paper that kind of looked like this cytology I'm currently looking at, I just have to, open the atlas and take a look, and I can find that exact same case. So I've been using those tools to make my life easier and more efficient, and I want to help other people to make sure they can utilize the power of AI too.
So let's look at your framework. Let me share the paper on screen so that we can look at how comprehensive it is. Okay, and you're the last author, and there are only two authors of the paper. The paper's title is Curriculum Framework for Artificial Intelligence Literacy in Veterinary Education. And the first author is Yitiang Huang, and the second is our today's guest, Candice Chu. So this is a 15-week course, and in the paper, this is an openly available paper. Anybody can download it. Published in Frontiers in Veterinary Science. We have the framework that starts with fundamentals of AI, and this is weeks 2 to 3. We start with an introduction, what's going to be in the course. Then weeks 4 and 5, machine learning with hands-on cytologic annotations in a YOLO, which is an image analysis image analysis model that you are using. Then we have weeks 6 to 8, LLM prompt engineering, building a chatbot, and NLP in clinical research. We have weeks 12 to 13 AI for literature search, ethical scientific writing, presentation tools, and then there is a final project presentation. And how did you design it? Why did you decide that these are the important parts of it?
I took the material I had from my various AI presentation, and I thought it would be important so that they understand the fundamentals of AI. Even though we are not computer scientists, we're not mathematicians, but I think having some like non-math understanding of AI tool is very important, because if you don't understand the basic principle of this tool, then how can you really assess whether this is a useful tool or not? And so I think it is very important to definitely cover that part. And of course, most people, our first encounter with AI is going to be ChatGPT, large language model. So they definitely need to know what large language models are and what are the models that are currently available. And because of that, I think teaching them how to use a large language model efficiently is also important. So that covers the prompt engineering part as well. And we also include the hands-on practice of, building your AI chatbot. You can actually, in this interface, you can add in the system prompt so that the AI will interact with you in the different persona, and students see that. They're very excited about it. And also moving away from that, we also have to touch on other very famous application of AI tools, such as, tools to automatically diagnose disease based on X-ray. And those would be, using the principle of computer vision, and also machine learning. So that also needs to be touched briefly with students. And then following that, student will be able to read a paper about a, recently released AI X-ray tool, and then read through the numbers and actually give them critical assessment of this tool. Because in the future, very likely they will be the one, probably not necessarily in charge, but would definitely be involved in the process, like whether we need to purchase this service or we need to subscribe to this service. So they need to have the understanding of, how well this tool is by assessing the performance matrix. So that's important too. And because of that, they also need to understand, what is the current trend, like what's the current recommendation from various veterinary special organizations. So it is also important to have a review of them to share, the current 9 organizations, what are their recommendation on AI. And I found, to make it very practical, I also invite the lawyer at the Georgia Veterinary Medical Association, Mr. Don Riddick. I actually worked with him at the AVMA AI working group. That's how I got to know him. And he graciously agreed to do a online talk with our students. And that was voted as one of their favorite class in this course, because they can actually, I told them, like, you better prepare your questions, because outside of this class, you need to pay for those questions. You might as well ask them for free in this class. And they learn a lot and understand that veterinarians are ultimately responsible for their for the professional output that they make, whether they use AI tool or not. So they need to be responsible for that. And additionally, also teaching, how AI can be used in research ethically. Frankly speaking, that is not one of the favorite course by the students because not many of them actually engage in academic work. But I also think it is very important since we have been talking about, AI can generate fabricated citations. So they need to know that as well. And then lastly, for the end of class presentation, it's more like, teach me something I don't know. Because I've been teaching you guys for the whole semester about all those AI tools. Can you let me know something that I don't know? And students actually mentioned some really cool AI tools, and I learned a lot from them. So I think this is a very beneficial session. And then also, it's also one of their favorite class.
That's amazing. So the first thing that I like a lot that is different than academic learning as I know it, but I left academia a long time ago, so maybe it has changed. But with you, it's changing, is the hands-on practice. Because, so I come from the image analysis part of digital pathology, and this importance of being able to communicate with other experts, with knowing the computer vision terms. I think this needs to be included in the curriculum as well for pathologists, because we're going to be in one way or another, what I'm seeing in the industry, working with image analysis tools. And the kind of the principles that you just mentioned apply to any part of the workflow that a professional is touching. So for me, it's going to be, okay, image analysis, designing image analysis solutions to answer some research questions, right? Then having other people other pathologists be able to help in the project. So I see that you're doing this at multiple levels. Image analysis, as you mentioned, then building the chat bots, being able to interact with the chatbot as different personas. So you're basically exposing them in a very accelerated way to all the trial and error things that I assume you experienced as well, and then learned from your lessons, because I very much relate to what you said. Oh, I have to correct it so many times that I'd rather do it myself. And it's not knowing the power of the tool, the capabilities of the tool, and not having the patience to actually learn how to leverage it. And that's what you're teaching, what I see from this paper that you're teaching. So this is a different way. The fact that you invited a lawyer to your class, I wanted to highlight that as well, because something that's easy, still beneficial and tempting to do is, okay, if you're ahead of most of the people in a specific topic, and you say you're tech savvy, you've been working with this technology since ChatGPT came out, building your own chatbots and all that stuff, it's kind of tempting to just okay, this is what I learn it as well, and you're going to be ahead of the people as well. But you kind of took, and I see it across the board, I see it at international digital pathology conferences, and I get also pushback from the rest of the digital pathology world. What I'm referring to is to putting the clinician, the pathologist, the medical person on the pedestal and letting them teach all the other medical professionals a discipline that is actually multidisciplinary field. So why I say it's still beneficial, because people will still learn, but they will only get this one perspective. And if a discipline is multifaceted, like in this case, you have computer scientists, you have especially this module. This is module 4, the ethics and legal piece. This and it's cool that you say that people actually like it, they appreciate it. But you being aware of needing to involve other specialists is noteworthy. How did you come up with this? Was it natural for you, or was it oh, shoot, I discovered I don't know this piece and I don't really feel comfortable teaching on this? And either way is fine. You brought in other specialists, but how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, I see pros and cons with that. Because me personally, I also attend various, workshop, whether online or on campus, to learn different perspectives about AI. So as a student, I know the benefit and the downside of learning from experts. Sometimes if a computer engineer is the lecturer, I don't necessarily understand what he's talking about. And he or she probably won't be able to understand like why we can't understand it, what they're talking. For me, I think I'm making the judgment call whether to incorporate them in my class. But of course, I work with Don, so I know that he has fantastic, communication skills. He will have absolutely no problem to make sure my student can understand the concept. But most of the time, I consider myself as sort of like a project manager. Like I learn from the engineers and I digest it and I present it in a way I believe that our veterinary students would be better to be able to understand, rather than having them actually in my class and talking to the student directly. Because I feel like that might be too difficult for them in a level that they really have to understand as clinicians. But I will be able to digest it first and translate that. And of course, Don wouldn't need that help. he's great already. So I will just have him have the direct conversation with my students.
Another thing that is right now, maybe in 2 months, it's not going to be that way, that you put in the curriculum is vibe coding. And vibe coding is basically coding or designing apps, designing like web solutions with words instead of coding. And there are also AI agents, Claude Code, and you included this in your curriculum and in this paper. This is how did the reviewers react to that? The journal probably needs to find reviewers who are so up to date with the technology, but that also like caught my attention that this is kind of something that's happening real time, and you managed to put it out there fast in a paper and package it into a student curriculum.
Yeah, that's not included in the curriculum that I just taught this past semester, because I had that idea toward, after I finalized the schedules, I come up with the idea, be like, okay, so what exactly is something that I'm currently doing? And that's actually, vibe coding using Cloud Code to build all those tools that I mentioned previously. And I had this idea of like, oh my gosh, I'm not actually teaching that to my students, because those are things I've been doing on my daily basis. I didn't pay attention to it. So I included that in the curriculum. I probably would teach it next year to incorporate that in the actual curriculum. But this year I just wanted to put it out there so that people can, look at it and think about it. And one example is vibe coding is the workshop topic for the incoming, Savvy 2.0 conference in Cornell. I think it's going to be next week or by the end of this week that I don't remember, but it's happening very soon. So I think that's also something like people have the interest, like people will sign up workshop for. And I think that's also important to be included in as part of the curriculum.
What kind of apps will they be designing? Do they come with their own ideas, or is there like a workshop plan what they're going to be building?
I think they can come up with their own ideas. So far, I don't really want to restrict the students. For example, for their final project, my guideline is you have to find something that's going to be beneficial, not just for you, but also for your classmates. And it's whether something that you have been doing. So a student presented Google Notebook LM and show the classmates her own workflow of how she utilized those tools in class learning. So that's very beneficial. And then you can also find a tool, but you need to, actually create an account, log in, and use the tool and show the demonstration to the students. Because I don't want you to just, glance through the website and then took some screenshot and then start to talking about it. I want you actually to use the tool, understand the pros and cons, and share that with your classmates. So I think that's also very beneficial for them.
So if somebody wanted to replicate this, somebody reads your paper, it's one of the universities that don't have an AI course yet. how would they start? How would you recommend they start? What can they do?
So in this paper, under different module, I also provide references that link them to, for example, review papers or example papers that can be included into teaching material in their course. So that can be a good start point. And the other start point is I'm currently involved in the writing of 2 AI textbooks. So once those textbooks got published, those educators will have more material to work on. And then also the other thing that I'm currently working on right now is to publish my course into a accessible online course. So not just for veterinary students, but for veterinarians who want to learn AI by following this curriculum in a very comprehensive way, they can also sign up for the course and get the learning material. So these are the things I've been working on.
How are you planning to do this? I want to sign up. How can I sign up?
Yeah, I've been working with other companies to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. So once it's out, I bet I'm going to see it on LinkedIn, but let me know so that I can share with my digital pathology trailblazers as well. So you say you're working on books. The moment the books are going to be published, probably there's going to be new things that come out.
Yes.
What is the mindset that you would recommend for veterinarians, for people interested in this in the medical field to adopt? Do you have like some kind of framework that you're using?
Yeah, I typically will share. This is typically my last slide in my AI presentation. I'll talk about, my viewpoint about AI. So I will tell them that, tools are tools are tools. They're just tools. And it depends on like how well you use them. And not one tool will be suitable for various occasions. You have to pick the best one for specific occasions. I will encourage them to have an open mind, being like, hey, I can learn something new. This is not difficult. And there are so many tutorial videos online, your articles that I wrote to teach you how to use those tools. So I'll encourage them to be open-minded. And it doesn't really matter if you continue to use them or not, but at least you can try it first. And if you found that, okay, I'm actually spend, way more time in using these new tools and that's making me less efficient than using my old method, then it's totally fine to switch back to your old method. That's okay too. But at least you need to, initially spend the time and efforts to know these new tools and to see if that will actually, be a life changer for you. That's always my perspective. I don't think there's any harm to learn new things, but you will have to use the new things ethically in order to prevent any potential harm.
I love this, like, not embrace everything, but not be cautious with everything, open mindset. I know myself, and I know that like every time I see like a capability of a tool that can solve something that I was struggling with, I'm like, oh my goodness, let me embrace it. Then I start using it and I see the limitations. I see the power, but I also see the limitations. Like you say, you have to choose the fit for purpose tools. Any of the tools that is your favorite, like something that revolutionized your personal life, workflow, or anything that's like, oh, this is my favorite?
That's also a very good question. For me, one thing I will also mention in my talk is I am a digital nomad, means like I don't stick to one tool. I usually use multiple tools and compare their results for a single thing. And so far, I'm using Cloud Code more often, but recently I'm also exploring Codex and try to compare whether it is better than Cloud Code or it's just similar to Cloud Code.
Which platform is Codex?
So Codex is a coding. It's kind of like the Cloud Code version, a ChatGPT version of Cloud Code. It's released by OpenAI. It's a tool that can actually integrate ChatGPT into your computer among your files and actually doing things for you, not just as an AI chatbot.
I was trying to migrate from Claude Cowork to Claude Code, and like from chat to Cowork to Code, and I got so frustrated. I went to Perplexity. I don't know if you have checked the newest Perplexity tasks. You can have like the recurring tasks. It's more like impatient person version of doing what Claude Code or it can do on your computer without having to install it on the computer. So that's it's exploratory phase for me still, more to like streamline my life, because I love processes, but I hate creating them. And now with AI, you basically can like do stuff, and the moment you do it twice, if you're using the AI tools, it's going to figure out that it's a process and then put it in a structured way. So that's like something I'm striving for, to not reinvent the wheel every time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm looking forward to the course you're going to publish. I'm definitely following everything you discover on LinkedIn. If people want to follow you, I'm going to include your LinkedIn handle in the show notes. Anything else that you want to share?
If you are a veterinary student or a newly graduate veterinarians and wanted to do AI research in veterinary medicine, I'm currently hiring master student. So please contact me here. You should put an URL here. Yeah.
See, I'm gonna direct people your way, because I sometimes get inquiries. Oh, is there a research project? So that's gonna be my go-to resource as well. A Dr. Chu lab at Texas A&M. Thank you so much, Candice. It was a pleasure talking to you again.
Yes, thank you for having me.